Hello, everybody. I'm getting everybody tuned in here. Um, happy Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. I was getting everybody tuned in here, and for us to get started, um, Twan Green will be joining us. He's going to be joining us. He got caught up in some traffic, so I said, hey, we told him 6. He said, cool, go ahead and get started. And we're talking about a special subject today because it is a subject that needs to be addressed. It's not so much that we're trying to say, oh, nobody else has issues, but I want to start this off by using the word acknowledgement. I had a sister back in the year 2001 when I was in Portland, Oregon, and I was going through a lot of things. And of course, I was doing a lot of performances, and I was doing a lot of writing. And I'm not gonna put her name out there, but she know who she is. I'm gonna tag her in this. But she told me use the word acknowledgement. So I was like, okay, I know what acknowledgement means, but let me go look it up. So, acknowledgement, the acceptance of the truth or existence of something. So, it's acceptance, admission, granting, allowing, concession, confession, appreciation, recognition, realization, awareness. Those are the synonyms and much more. So, acknowledgement, acceptance of the truth or existence of something. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to acknowledge that the Black community, and with everything that's going on, no matter what race you're in, where you reside, what district you're in, rich or poor, you cannot help but to acknowledge that there is something going on within the realm of the Black community. And to the Black community, you need to acknowledge that you need to accept the truth or existence of something. And that's what me and Twan Green are going to touch bases on today. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, I feel sorry for what everyone is going through. And, I would love to, to help out, and we could come together as a global community, and we can. We can. But a lot of you are not going to go to the hood and go help out, are you? If you live way on the north side, on the $400,000 house side of town, and you see a Black community that needs to unite as one, because at the end of the day, the people or persons who are sick, they're the ones that need to acknowledge so that they can heal. You're not going to go from your $400,000 houses down to the hood and help now, are you? Let's keep it real. We'll talk about how we need togetherness all day long. We'll talk about how we should come together as a global community. But there's different things within different communities. And today, we're shining the flashlight on the Black community in reference of uniting as one. Acknowledgement, the acceptance of truth or existence of something. There is a problem. One, a lot of us aren't educated. 2, a lot of us get educated, and what we do is we abandon. We say, well, whoo, made it. I'm out of there. Goodbye. But in the meantime, we've left behind family members. We've left behind those we love, those we grew up with. Not recognizing that until somebody takes a stand in leadership, whether it's in the community, the home, the Black community can never unite. I'll give an example. I put a post up about a Chinese man. Now, I didn't get offended. He was Asian. He's an Asian brother. And he talked about how with the Chinese slash Asian culture, how they believe in, they're very, if you know anything about Asians, I watch a lot of Japanese anime. My daughter's really a lot into it. The Asians are all about family. They don't have to say I love you. Their actions speak louder than words. And they're all about upbringing the youth in their communities and in their culture. And they're about pumping the currency in their culture to help them thrive. And he made a comment about how he said black people have had the same chance as everyone else, but they haven't done anything with that. Now, a lot of people got mad because this was somebody else's thread that I took and posted on mine. Everybody got mad at this man because they said, well, he don't understand what we've been through, this and that and that and this. But, I mean, if a bunch of collective minds come together, we can pull up out of this. And it first starts with acknowledging that there is an issue. Acknowledging there's an existence of something. You know, America. You can acknowledge that you see police brutality a little bit way harsh on our black males. You can acknowledge that you'll see the Caucasian brother, black brother go to the courtroom for the same thing, and a different type of justice is administered to both. And that's what Urban Wire has stated about the criminal justice system. It's racially unequal. We need to acknowledge that the acceptance of the truth and the existence that the criminal justice system is unequal. You know, black people, if you don't know this, black people make up more than 1/3 of people in the federal and state prisons, and nearly 3 times their representation in the population. Once they become involved, unfortunately, if you didn't know this, we're going to acknowledge this today. Black people are more likely to carry the consequences throughout their lives. You know, and I've seen this. I've seen people who went in and got out of it and didn't go back. They had a support group, or they were just strong and mandated to do that. But then you have the ones who are weaker, the ones who do not have the knowledge, and they end up going in the system, and it's like a loop. And the system makes money off of them. Listen to me when I tell you, prisons are privatized these days. That's big money. And they're building a jail out here where I live at, way in the country. I was like, yeah, get ready to move in September. So, you know, and you say, well, you know, what can we do? It's the criminal justice system. You know what we can do? We can acknowledge that there's this problem. And we can come together, brainstorm in different communities, business owners who own businesses. You say you want to help. Community leaders, community elders, people who've been to jail and who've made it. Do nonprofit groups, you know, keeping brothers out of jail. I don't know what you would name it, but it would help. We can implement strategies that change how people are treated, you know, after they've been incarcerated, and we can implement strategies that reduce encounters with law enforcement and the negative consequences that follow those encounters. If you go on YouTube, and I'm just jumping around here a bit, if you go on YouTube, there's this man, I forgot what his name, but it's called It's the Law, or How to Handle the Law, and he tells you how you deal with officers. So, and this is not going to solve the big problem, but I'm just putting some stuff out there because there are things that we can do to educate our people and to help our people understand. Everybody puts up pictures of Sandra Bland. Yes, that was horrible what happened with Sandra Bland. Yes, anytime somebody's doing a traffic stop and it goes horribly wrong, you know, the man that got shot, all of that. I don't know the schematics or how people were feeling or what was going on, if it was racist, was somebody nervous, but whatever the case is, you know, you've been racially profiled, okay? Especially the black man, and you don't get hostile. One of the things, and I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna post it on my page. It tells you how to deal with a traffic stop. You know, show respect, and even if the officer is being disrespectful, you still keep your calm. See, because when you feed that, okay, when you feed that, it becomes hostile. And then it doesn't matter, you know, until everything gets straightened or goes in the direction it needs to go. We need to counter ourselves with strategy and educate ourselves on how to deal with things. So I'll give you an example. I was at the airport. Uber. I was at the airport and I was Ubering. And there was an intersection where I would always go to the left. Every time I got ready to pick up my client, I'd go to the left. And one day I went to the left and it was an airport officer. He's San Antonio Police, SAPD. And he was coming behind me on the bicycle. And he was like, boo, you heard, he hit the side of the car. He was like, you. He was like, I need you to pull over. And, you know, he was really grunt. He was holding his ground. I understood this. But see, I know how to do towards a traffic stop, okay? And it's San Antonio. It's not like I'm in Mississippi where things could be worse. I don't know what the situation is there. But this is how I handle it. And this is how we need to train our youth to handle it. Our young men, our young women who are getting their driver's license. Somebody needs to put together an online class and teach them this is how you deal with traffic stops. This is how you deal with getting pulled over. Know your rights. So I pulled over to where he told me to pull at. Okay? And he was like, do you realize you were turning on left with the light? And I was like, yes, sir. I said, I was like, I apologize. I've turned that left corner like about 100 times. I didn't know. And he was like, well, that's illegal. He was like, let me see your license. And I was like, okay. I said, is it okay for me to pull my license out the pocketbook? He said, yes. And I mean, he was really mean too. And then I said, he was like, I need your insurance papers. I was like, my insurance papers are in the glove compartment. I was like, I'm going to reach over right now. I'm going to open it and pull out the papers. Is that okay with you, officer? He's like, sure, go ahead. And I reached over. I was like, here I go. And I pulled out the papers and I gave it to him. And I said, sir, apologies. I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to turn, left. I told him I didn't know. I didn't see a sign. I was like, if you would be so nice not to give me a ticket, I won't do it anymore. And do you know what he said to me? And that situation may not work with everybody, but we've got to learn to do things in tact, because you have to acknowledge the acceptance of the truth or the existence that the fact of the matter is that you get profiled. So if you know you're going to get profiled, don't get hostile. Handle the situation as such. Use wisdom. Use tact. Am I saying that works in every situation? No, but it's a start. We have to do something. Okay? So, and when I said this to him, and I continued on because it's me. I'm a socialite, so that's what I do. I was like, so how's your day going? Apologies. I didn't mean to make you have to do all of that, for me turning left and I didn't know. And he said to me, I'm going to let you off with a warning this time. He said, you know why? I said, why? He said, because you were nice. You were kind. I was like, oh, thank you. I'm like that with everybody. And then he went on to tell me about his day. He went on to tell me how he had pulled over some other Uber drivers to tell them about turning left and how they were cussing him out, how they were hostile, how he had to pull out his taser. I was like, oh, really? Uber. Hashtag Uber. San Antonio, Texas airport. I was like, oh, wow. I didn't know that. I was like, I'm sorry you had that experience. Now, whether he was racist or whatever the case may be, and I don't think that was the case. I think in the case of this officer, He was just tired of people being disrespectful when he was just trying to do his job to turn to the left. Am I saying all officers are like this? No. But I'm saying that we have to acknowledge the acceptance of the truth and the existence of something within the law system that is getting our young men and women locked up. When they get pulled over, things are happening. The killings, the murders, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes we have to use tact. We got to start somewhere. And a good way to start would be to educate how to do when you're getting pulled over. Sandra Bland, may she rest in peace. The only thing that what happened to her was horrible. Do not get it twisted. Please do not take and run off the cliff with this in a parachute and be like, she said. I am going to make one statement about something. She was dealing with an officer who was serving back when racism was rampant and high. Okay? And you got to think about when you're dealing with different people, a wise man sits back and listens and see where they're coming from and look at their age and listen to how they talk in their conversation, and they understand what it is that they're dealing with. And I think maybe it wouldn't have been as abrupt if she did not keep calling this man a pussy. Now, I watched the video. It was horrible. And I did, I heard her kept saying, you bitch ass pussy. Pussy, 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 pussy. And you got to remember, this is an older white gentleman from back in the day when racism was running rampant. So he's had to adjust to the times. And now he's got a black woman calling out. And when you see somebody like that and you know they have an ego like that within them, you got to be conscious to your situation. It all comes down to being conscious about it. I get so tired of hearing people posting and saying, this is what they did, this is what they've done, da 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 da. We need to implement strategies. The black community uniting as one. And if you live in a $400,000 neighborhood and you feel like you want to participate and we're all in this together, feel free to come down to the hood where they're going through this at, or a low poverty location, and start helping to make a difference. I'm talking to the people that say, oh, this is global. We love each other. If it's so much like that, then hey, come on and do your part. Go get a nonprofit, get an EIN right now, put together the formation seal, and let them know, educating the community, educating African Americans on dealing with the law, whatever the case may be, and help make a difference. But the black community uniting as one, I'm referring, because there's all different kinds of communities, but we're putting the flashlight on the black community today. That's the subject. And so, implementing strategies, business owners, I know a few business owners that, a lot of people down them for this, but a lot of business owners who, what they do, my son came and gave me the thumbs up just now. What they do is they hire people who's been in prison, because it is hard for some people who have been felons or have went to jail to get a job. And I feel like that's wrong, because in some instances, a lot of people make mistakes in life. I'm going to say this to you, if you're listening to me and you are a black-owned business or a black-owned entrepreneur, so maybe take somebody under your wing and teach them, or help hire people who's been in the system. But and I want to put this out there, if you're making really good money, if you're starting off and you got to pay a certain amount, that's okay, all right? But if you're making like really good money, okay, and somebody comes to you and they just got a jail, they're trying to get it together. From what I've seen, a lot of your trap generals, your dope boys, your street corner boys, whatever you want to call them, a lot of them end up going back selling dope because because nobody educates them and says to them, hey, I see you out there, come work with me. They want to pay them $7-8 an hour. Come on now, when somebody done lived that life, you know, we gotta help. We gotta help, or at least refer them to somebody, something. You don't even, you know what? At this point, you don't even have to be a black-owned business. If you, whatever color you are, if you want to help the problem, you know, and helping the black community uniting as one, you see the issues, you see the slaughter, you see what's going on, and you want to make the change. Let's do this. Okay, that puts some of you on blast. Let's do this. Okay, you say you love a lot of my people in the church. You have these lucrative businesses. You're buying up all the houses. You have businesses and all that. But you take somebody under your wing. And if you don't want to take them under your wing and pay them much, or at least pay them something and teach them how they can go about becoming an entrepreneur. Because your dope boys, your trap generals, your Lord King generals, they're really good management. They do management. They have to manage their people, manage the product, manage it going out, manage how much coming in. They're an accountant. They keeping up with the finances. You know, they have to restock. They're doing stocking. You know, and somewhat security, because they're looking out for the police. You know, you can always take what seems so bad and turn it into a positive. You know, we have to implement strategies to help the black community. Okay? Because it's way too many people, you know, it's way too many people hurting. It's way too many people getting killed. And it's way too many people dying. You know, I saw somebody put on a post, and it's very true. You know, you see a lot of rappers who portray a certain type of life. And, you know, from a person who accidentally moved into a trap house when I was a certain age, and I didn't know what a trap house was, and I moved in not knowing any better because I was from the bushes of Alabama. It's a grimy life. Now, in the instance of me, the house was really nice, so you really didn't understand it. I didn't understand it was a trap house till a couple weeks later I saw what was going on. But it's a grimy life. It's not glorious the way that they portray it. If you're a young man or a young lady and you've been listening to trap music, or you see somebody that is like, that you're really digging, that talks about that life, you really need to take in consideration what that life is about. Now, I understand that everybody tries to be a Tupac. They try to be the legendary Tupac. And I think sort of what made Tupac so legendary is that he really was real. And he really was that raw. And he really didn't care. And it was the first... there was a couple of others, but it was the first time anybody put their life out there. And a lot of times when you put your life out there, people tend to listen. And he really was doing a lot. He was really doing a lot of speakings, things that people don't even know about. They only seen the musical side of Tupac. You know, his mother, I think her father was a Black Panther. They were in the Black Panthers too. So, you know, we don't need to glorify this life. You know, tell the truth. Yeah, I put a disclaimer on your CD, on your music. Disclaimer, this life can end up putting you in the pen, depending on how much dope you have for a very long time. Disclaimer, this type of life, you might have a lot of women, but you can end up with a lot of different baby mamas too, that are nothing but drama in your life. And then when you find somebody you like, she looks at your situation and she says, I'm not dealing with those. I'm not dealing with that. And I know that's biased of me. I'm sort of that way. You know, I look at someone's situation, I'm like, ooh, no thank you. Because I don't want to be caught up in that. And I know what that entails of. I've seen too many stories. I've watched my friends go through those stories. But we need to educate. We need to acknowledge the acceptance of the truth and the existence of these glorified rappers and people trying to take claim of selling in the hood, drugs, smashing the women, being disrespectful. That we need to acknowledge that this is not cool. We need to let our young people know this isn't cool. It isn't awesome. It isn't great. It isn't glorified. It's none of that. It's wrong. What they need to let people know is, if you want to be grimy about it and sing about your life, you need to let them know, hey, I slang rocks and didn't realize I was killing blocks. And I was hurting others with my Glocks. That's what you need to be telling them. The raw, unadulterated truth. Don't try to glorify that. You know, we need to acknowledge the acceptance of this truth and the acceptance that this is wrong. From the criminal justice system to these glorified rappers or people laying claim that they're slanging on hoods, but they're doing it for entertainment to fool the masses like the Pied Piper. We need to educate. We need to relate and let them know. You know, we need to acknowledge that there is structural racism disadvantages for black people in America. Everybody don't make it, so to speak. There's people that they haven't been educated or they haven't been taught on how to maneuver and move, and that shouldn't even be going on, because we are in 2019, and I don't care how you holler, okay, and excuse me going this way, because I'm talking to two audiences. I don't care how you holler, okay? I was at a disadvantage. I don't care how you holler. I didn't have my mom, or I didn't have my dad, or I didn't have my parents, or the streets got a hold of me, or I looked for love in the streets. Yes, this happens. But we live in a time of technology, and that technology, you can put that into your authority, along with gaining wisdom and getting educated. There is no excuse. And if you feel like you don't know how to do it, or you don't know how to go about it, you need to find somebody. Heck, you could be talking on the bus to somebody and find out. You can go on YouTube and look it up. You can go pull up classes at Yale University and watch a live professor for free and learn stuff. You can go to the library and get a book. You say you don't have an ID? You can go sit in the library and read the book. They ain't gonna say nothing to you. Just go to the quiet corner. Go take pictures of the book. Well, take your tablet and put notes in the book. Study the Black Laws Dictionary. We really don't have an excuse, people. We need to acknowledge the truth and existence. Now, structural racism in America does have disadvantages. For one, the educational system. I can't tell you how many times that I have went on the north side and you see your private schools like John Hagee's school is going to cost you anywhere from $12,000 to $20,000 getting your kids in there for a good privatized education. Okay? To, your McDermott Elementary, to where that President Bush went to that elementary school. My daughter went to that elementary school because of their curriculum. But I've went down to other schools, and I'm not going to name them because I'm not trying to put them out there like that, but they know who they are, where it's a middle school, and you've got probation officers running in and out and up and down the steps. Well, what's wrong with this picture? The same middle school where students murdered their co-student. But we're supposed to be getting an education here. What's going on? And then you have an elementary school 5 miles around the corner where you have a little first grader calling the teacher a bitch. And then they put her in a room and say, do you realize that was the wrong word? And she puts her hands on her hips and says, I know exactly what I'm talking about. See, the black community, we need to acknowledge the acceptance of the truth and existence that even though we have structural racism disadvantages in America concerning education, we can still implement strategies that change how our children are being educated. A lot of you who are doing investments in certain things, maybe some of you should open up charter schools. It's not the easiest of, from what I talked to Dr. Nelson about, it's not the easiest thing to do because you got to go through a lot of loopholes. But even maybe a nonprofit after school educational center. Get funds for that and do right by it. But we're going to have to do something. And another thing, for example, in housing and criminal justice, believe it or not, people, someone's race predicts outcomes even after controlling for income and education. How many times have you seen it? Somebody's way on the top in Hollywood, and pow, they hit the bottom. Like, you're not above the law. There's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of prejudices that are manufactured through various television channels, music, and videos, and medias. And there's references to the brute, thug, black image of a male. In the 21st century here, where we're at now, this negative imagery of our black males and females has frequently utilized negative terminology like thug, thought, and hoe. And in recent years, and even though it's been going on, but it's been beaten, it's been getting it's getting harder. Law enforcement agencies have unreasonably used deadly force on black males allegedly considered to be suspects or persons of interest. We need to acknowledge this. And it's not until we acknowledge that acceptance of truth or existence that something is going on, that this is what's happening, and stop turning our backs and stop making excuses and start understanding that we need to hold people, places, and things with consequences for their actions. I'll give you a good example. So this weekend we had a lot of fun on Twan Green's thread. If you go check his page out, he had put a picture up of Drake. And the one picture is Drake doing this with the red lips. I know this was a while ago, but we're about to touch base on here. And this goes back to the misconceptions through media, okay? And then the next face is him in the black. Now, a lot of people were like, Drake is black, his daddy is black. Yes, I know this. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Drake didn't realize that when you do certain things and you go up on certain levels with Hollywood, because Hollywood is what Hollywood is derived from. Go look it up. When you go on certain levels, your Ted Dansons, your Whoopi Goldbergs, who else did that? It was quite a few stars that got up elevated level that did the blackface. Okay? And do we agree with it? We shouldn't agree with it. But like I was stating to them, everybody has their own opinion. Some people are desensitized to it. Some people get highly offended and oh my word. They get highly offended and they're like, and go ham about it. But if we acknowledge the acceptance of the truth and the existence that the media does do this, and a lot of our brothers and sisters, white or black, they do this, that as a people, a strategy for that is to help them understand that there's a consequence for their action. Now, me, personally, I've never been a Drake fan. No offense, Drake. I never really listened to his music. Maybe that one song, but it came and gone, and that's only because it was on the radio. It's really not my style. I'm more towards underground artists. But you need to boycott. Like, you know what? We need to teach you a lesson. That's not okay. You come out and do your public apology, whatever. But we have to stop. We have to stop this mockery. And a lot of people say, well, you'll say, well, you know what, Virtuous Queen, You know, that's a bit stiff. Get a pass. He was black. He was just trying to, he was talking about how, how he has to do the minstrel show and how it's frustrating. And yes, this is true. This is true. But I'm going to go out on a limb, and this is just my opinion, okay? And you can take it how you want because everybody's entitled to their opinion. That, how can I put it? There should be consequences for things like this. And if somebody, okay, example, if somebody got on a video, artist, well known, and dressed themselves up like the Jews that got gassed in the gas chamber, and did something derogatory of that point, do you know that their career would be destroyed? So even though we say, oh, it was okay, they were just trying to express themselves, even this being so, we still need to understand that we need to acknowledge and we need to get to the root of all of this, and we need to root it up and expose the root and put the root in the sun and just let it die. And let's makeshift this all over again and start educating. From 1619, I had saw today, somebody sent on my messenger from 1619, 1719, 1719, 1819, 1819, 1919, 1919, 400 years. Slavery. It may not be as bad as it was back then, but it's a hint of it still there. America, you may not want to acknowledge this. My black brothers and sisters, you may not want to acknowledge this, but it is. And I want to say that, even the politicians know this. Shout out Paul Darden, because Paul Darden makes it, you should check out his thread. He has some very interesting stuff on there that makes you think. And it's really cool to see the different opinions of people. Some people, I feel like, for those of you, just putting this out there, for those of you, I understand that you have an angry compassion about something. But gosh, do we really have to call each other names just because one person states their opinion or they state a fact? Do we got to go calling each other names and bashing each other just because of an opinion? Or because we make a true statement and you don't want to acknowledge that true statement? Acknowledgement. Acceptance of the truth of the existence of something that's going on politically, especially on the Democratic side. And am I saying the Republicans are free of this? No. I'm saying that every time the Democrats want to win a race, do you know what they do? Only got to do one word. All they got to say is, hit it, Bobby. Racism. He's racist. And soon as they say he racist, Black America and the black community is like, he's racist. And then they start finding things that really aren't there. Like normally, Bill Clinton kissed the black kid, or, oh no, not Bill Clinton, I'm sorry. Trump had the black baby. He was talking to the black women. And you know what? Honestly, I don't know if Trump is racist or not. And I know a lot of you be like, well, what do you mean you don't know if Trump is racist? All I'm going to say is this right here. I don't know him personally. And until you get to know a person personally, that's when you can make a judgment. But, of course, we can discern off of, going off of actions and things. And I'm just going to say I don't know. I haven't really been the type of person to really stand behind anybody except for Beto that one time, man. And Ross Perot. Ross Perot. That was basically it. Because it's a shrewd game that's being played. And at the end of the day, if you really want to make an impact, how about educating our youth and getting them to the point to where they can become commissioners? Start putting it in their head now. They can start becoming commissioners and junior senators and get them in the White House. You want to talk about implementing a strategy. Instead of bopping that gangster music, talk about No. Tell them, baby, the street life ain't going to make a change. Now, it'll make a change if you're a street general going into the street life, going and talking to the dope boys. I used to do that. And heck, I've never been a dope dealer. True story. Columbus, Ohio. I lived over on Greenfield Drive. And there was a bunch of teenagers in that area. A lot of their mother and fathers were strung out on crack or on some type of drug. Or their mother and fathers were partying. Or because I worked at the YWCA there. And I would just walk in the neighborhood. I'd say a prayer. Ask the Most High to give me wisdom on what to say, who to talk to, what to do. And I would go talk with these youth. And they would come to me and say things like, Auntie Erica. I remember a young lady, she was coming with like 2-3 cell phones in the back. I was like, girl, what you doing? You do hacking cell phones? She was like, Auntie Erica, I tried to sell some cell phones. She was like, because I wanted to, she said, because I wanted to, go get, she was something she wanted to go get. She was like, I'm about to rob me somebody. I was like, oh, no. I took the last $10 that I had in my wallet at that time and I gave it to her. I said, take this, dear heart. Go get that. Don't do it. I was like, it's not worth it. I said, at the end of the day, you get caught up, pal. Probation, jail time. Is it really worth all that? Is it? You know, and I gave her my number. I was like, come see me. We're going to help. We're going to help get you set up with something so you don't have to go through this. Because she didn't have a mother around to tell her and let her know, don't do that. Now, I'm not talking to my youth who has good parents or foster parents that tried to do the right thing with you, but you rebelled. Because you wanted to, because you were fast, or you felt like you could just be a street general or do what it is, or you wanted to go hang in the streets and be grown. I'm not talking to y'all. Y'all need to get that together. You don't get to blame anybody for that. After a certain age, you come into a certain accountability, and you need to acknowledge the acceptance of the truth and the existence that you need to go on the right path, especially when somebody's trying to do the right thing for you. You know, I'm trying to touch base with everybody on this today. I'm waiting for Twan. I don't know if Twan's going to make it on here. We're already 42 minutes in, but I'm pretty sure he'll have something to say on his page. And, but thanks, Twan. Twan got caught up in traffic, so. But anyway, you know, the criminal justice system, which is racially unequal, we need to teach our youth and the people how to deal with the system with tact. How to not get into trouble. We need to teach them, if somebody's got a pistol under their side of the seat, don't get in the car. If you're in somebody's car and you look and see something, be like, you know what, dog, I'm gonna have to, I'll catch you another time. If you know somebody got crack on them, don't get in the car with them. If you see somebody on the corner smoking weed out loud, and you know the police run around, don't hang with that. If you have to smoke marijuana, do it in your homes. Don't do it out where people can see you. Am I pushing drug use? No, I'm saying educating our people. Educating. Stop being the victim. Empower yourself. Because it's time. It's 2019. You know, I look at some threads, and don't get me wrong, when Black History Month comes around, we need to teach the youth what it was that we've been through. Yes, America would love to tuck that away because it was terroristic genocide on our people, from the Oklahoma burning to whatever. But now what it needs to be steps. Number 1, acknowledgement, the acceptance of the truth, or the existence of something that is going on with America and the Black communities and our youth. Number 2, history lessons. We need to give them history and teach them that the Declaration of Independence wasn't even about us. It was about them, declaring their independence from the other country over there. And number 3, deprogram and educate. These are you can't just acknowledge it and be like, yeah, it was, and keep on going, and then complain about it. You can't acknowledge it and then say, this happened. This is what happened. Look at these horrid pictures. Look at roots. And then think that everything's going to be okay. You have to deprogram. You have to educate. You have to go all in. Because if we're to heal, do you know that if the black community united as one and we healed, Black Panther, the movie, should have shown you the currency power that the black community really has. It stayed number 1. Not even Marvel, and I loved Marvel Infinity Wars, by the way. Not even Marvel could touch it. And you got so many Spider-Man fans out there, Tony Stark's, I don't want to die type thing. But Black Panther let you know. And it's sad to say, people even tried to demonize that. That was a ritual, this and that and that and this. Come on now. This movie was basically letting you know that there is a rich resource that we got going on over there, and that's what we do. And villages get murked for that because cell phone companies need to make people cell phones. Because I talk to people from over there. Learn your globe. Reach out to some friends. Like, hey, I don't know you, but hey, I want to learn about your culture. There's nothing wrong with that. But people, it's time to do 3 things. We need to acknowledge the acceptance of the truth and the existence of something going on here. We need to teach. And we need to re-educate and deprogram. So you can talk all day. You can put it on threads. You can do whatever. But if you don't step in to make the difference, you're doing nothing. Now, I refer to the Bible as worse as the person's given the talents. You put something out, you might as well just bury it in the ground. What are you doing to make a difference? Put together the Father's League. To help young men that don't have dads. Men, go volunteer your time. Don't just do it now. To some of y'all, don't just do it in school systems because you could get paid for that. Or you can get ranks for that. Or you make yourself look good. Do it from the heart space. Do it from the consciousness. Do it knowing that at the end of the day, we are all connected. We are. If we could get society healthy everywhere, all communities healthy, America would thrive. Everywhere else would thrive because you could take and implement this same conversation to any other community. Black, Asian, Hispanic, Somalian. My Somalian brothers and sisters, I love y'all. Let me tell you something. My Somalian brothers and sisters, when I was in Columbus, Ohio, I basically really didn't have any friends. I didn't have a clique. I was teaching. And I didn't have a car, so I had to walk to the end of the Green Mile to get to the bus stop, to catch the bus to get to where I was going. Do you know that when Somalian brothers and sisters, when they come over to America, or when they're all in a community, do you know that if somebody doesn't have a husband or doesn't have a family to help them, do you know that they help give each other rides? Do you know that the Somalian women come together and help? If one can't grow groceries, they get together, they put together their little monies that their husbands gave them for an allowance, and they buy that woman groceries for her and her family. See, these are the type of templates that we need to be paying attention to. And I could go on and put little tidbits of wisdom out there and tell you to go look and educate yourself. At the end of the day, what it comes to is if you ain't willing to step in and do anything, it means nothing. So when you see this going on, or you see high-end crime going on in your neighborhood, or you see Joe beating on Tina, and you're not doing nothing but recording it, talking about World Star, don't complain about how bad it is, because you're not, it just takes one person. One person can help bring many. One person can make a difference. One person can spark many others. We call it ARC, act of random kindness. So we must acknowledge the acceptance of truth, acknowledgement, the acceptance of truth, or existence of something going on. And it is going on. You can try to deny it all you want. It's going on. And to all my gangster world stars, y'all need to do it better. You need to tell people the truth about your lifestyle and what goes on. To those who's always disrespecting women, you need to curtail that around. We're in 2019. And either we're going to elevate and keep it going, or it just die out of existence. One of the two. So you make that choice. So Virtuous Queen, aka Dr. Trent, talking about the black community uniting as one. Letting you know that if you're the type of person that says, I might not be black, but oh, we're all global level, then leave from out of your neighborhood. Go get nonprofits, put together classes or something, and go down in the hood and help educate. Go into the schools and help educate. But you can miss me with that we're global and love and one if you know you have the resources or you have the gift to go help and you're doing nothing. It means nothing but words to make yourself look good. Okay? Happy Monday. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Much love and peace.